when it comes to training, when it comes to working out, of course you guys should be training in the off season. It just makes sense to train during the off season. Like off season is the perfect time to get better. But you can also get better and do some things during the in season. So think about it like this, okay? Think about NASCAR, right? When they're on the track and racing around, that's the time where they have the pit stops. And the pit stops, they just do little quick minor details to make sure the car's running. So when the car is in their pit stop, they're just doing small things to get detailed up. So they're putting a little more oil in, make sure the driver has a little bit of water, make sure they're good. They might change out tires, little quick things that can be done to make sure the car is able to race at as best as it can and keep going on the race as best as it can in the best condition that it can for the moment. But during the off season, when the race is done with, that's the time they'll take out the engine. They'll take out all these big parts and pieces to really reconstruct and redo the car. The same way we should view training. So during the off season is the perfect time to make big changes to your game. That's the perfect time to really break down your jump shot and really figure out the big piece of the skill that you're missing in your game. So it might be breaking down your jump shot and rebuilding it again. It might be really working on finishing with your left hand. It might really be breaking down detail of how in the world do I get better at shooting off the dribble or get better at catch and shoot or better decision making. Whatever that big skill is, you can really fine tune it during the off season and make sure that's the big thing you're adding to your game. In season is not the time to making big changes. That's the time to fine tune small little details, small things you can do to pick up your game. So either something you did during the off season, you're picking back up on it now and just maintaining it during the in season, or you're fine tuning little things throughout the season that might have lapsed on, might have not had enough time and whatever during the off season to really pick up on. So when it comes to training in season versus off season is the time to make the big changes to really break down your game and figure out the biggest piece that is missing from your car or from your game, or it could be a physical transformation that you go from weighing too much or not weighing enough to where your game can really transform to you put on that weight now your game's looking a lot better and you're physically able to handle and endure the game that you play. Or you try to add this new move to your game. You're trying to really step up your handles because you're struggling to have the ball handling ability that you should to be at the level that you're at, whether you're a point guard, whether you're a big moving to a wing, or you went from ninth grade going to JV or JV going to varsity now. The off season is the perfect time, the key time to really lock in on those skills and make sure that these are the big chunks or the biggest pieces that we're going to transform in our game. The end season is time to make the small tinkers and the small adjustments that you're going. So let's say you're adjusting to being a point guard. Off season, you're going to really work on your ball handling, really work on some pick and roll work, and you might work on a little bit of mid range or 3-point shooting, right? Coming off the dribble more. Because you might have been a two guard and now you're adjusting to being more of a point guard. So, okay, cool. The big focus is going to be pick and roll, overall ball handling. If you want to go more detailed, ball handling with pressure, and then mid-range shooting or 3-point shooting. But all of it has to be off the dribble. Three main focuses, right? And let's say we did that during the summer. Now we're in in-season mode. By the time the in-season gets here, we're already focused on the big three. We've already locked down the big three. Now you might be fine-tuning specific things on the pick and roll. So you might detail the pick and roll of going against a hedge versus going against a drop, or going against a blitz. You might get double team off the pick and roll, and you didn't, adjust it enough to where this defense throwing at you differently, and you're just not able to react to it as best as you can. So in season time to tweak those things versus off season, you went over the pick and roll, you went over the ball handling, you went over your jump shot, but now these last few games, you tweaked it a little bit more because now you're fine-tuning the things that you worked on before. That's how it should operate when you're looking at in-season versus off-season. In-season is the time to tweak on things you built off of in the off-season. Off-season, you build up the big rocks, and now you probably like fine-tuning it. So you met this big, beautiful sculpture, or this big, beautiful painting. You're going to sit here and do all the big painting work, all the big detail stuff. So when it comes to this painting, the painting has to have all the main outlines and stuff, the main colors on there. And you might, fine tune the ending of this line right here, not as crispy or defined as you want it to be. Or you might come over here and change a little bit of color over here. But the sculpture has to be mainly done during the off season. In season, you might tweak a little color here. You might adjustments here, chip off a little bit there. You might try to, clean up the hair or whatever, making small details. But the in season is the time to clean up little details. Off season is the time to really overall break down that rock in the sculpture to where that's the main thing, the big meat and potatoes, the meal of your skill. So that's why the training in the off season is so much more uh just say like more just you can adapt to it more. Because back to the NASCAR reference, you don't want to sit here and try to take the engine out during the middle of the race. That's taking too much time. You have to really do too much to you have to open up the hood and you have to crank the car up off all fours and get under there, unmove things around the engine so you can get to the engine. Then once you get to the engine, you have to take it out. Then you have to make sure new engine, get the oil and everything in there. Put the engine in there. Now put everything back and lower back down. By the time you've done that, 2 laps are going down from the race and you've lost the ground that you could have made it already. Versus just getting a quick gas or maybe quick oil change. I don't know how exactly how it works, but throwing some more gas and keep going around. Quick tires, changing out. That's pretty simple and easy. They literally time people say, hey, you got X amount of time to make sure this driver's back on the track. We got smaller details we need to clean up on. We're not changing the entire car, the entire vehicle around. So that's how it is in your game. If you're looking to get better during the end season, it's not the time to make the big changes and big jumps. Unless you're just not hooping a lot. Then you could probably look at tweaking more of your game and the bigger aspect versus the small detail. Because you're already in the groove, you're already in the race. You don't want to sit here and rearrange the whole car now because you're in the middle of it. Like it's not a detail that to be focused on right now. But you can focus on the paint and stuff off season. You can focus on the engine. You can recalibrate all these different things because that's the time and space to do it. So that's why you guys need to focus on training in season and not just training in the off season. That's an opportunity to get better and grow your game a little bit more, find some a little bit more detail that you might have missed out on because during the season you throwing at new opportunities and new challenges. You probably get the best chance to clean up on. You can't figure out everything in the off season. So in season is the perfect time to capitalize on and build upon what you already had on the off season. So off season you build up to be level 5, then in season you might get a 5 to 5.4, and then 4.7. 5 to 5.4, and then 5.7, and then you get to a 6, all in the end season because you keep building and keep training. And you also don't want to lose the skill that you had. So you do all this work to put up, let's say 500 shots every day. You don't want to lose all of that because you're now shooting 10, 15 shots during games, and then you might shoot a couple 50 during practice. You practice every day. So instead of getting up 600 that day, you drop down and get 600 that week if you're lucky. So that's a big jump and big scale of the training work you're putting in. You wonder why you're shooting out the same during the end season because you're not training and putting the same work you did in the off season. So if that doesn't make sense of how you can train in the end season, comment below, let me know because I'll clarify as better as I can. But that's why you guys should be training during the end season, not just the off season. But hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope it makes sense. I hope you guys really understand the difference between training in season and training off season. But I need to do it. But thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it.